Hey, what's up, everybody? Today I have my fellow YouTuber, Jim, who has his own YouTube channel. I'll leave all that in the description below. And today we're going to be talking about how feminism has hijacked and destroyed the atheist movement. And we're going to be discussing how things can improve and our thoughts and opinions on it. So let's begin. How do you think feminism has hijacked the atheist movement?
I think it's done what it has done in a lot of different realms, and that is basically go in there and say, this speech is bad, these ideas are inherently bad because, and they don't give reasons for it. They don't have a debate. They just come in and say, these ideas are bad because they disagree with us. And whenever you do that, wherever, with any ideology that you may have, it's when it becomes bad and wrong. And that's what feminism and social justice warriors tend to do. They say, oh, you're not a feminist, you're wrong. You are against Black Lives Matter, you're wrong. And it's not a debate, it's just black and white. And that's what they do everywhere. And they've gone in with atheists, and they're like, oh, if you're an atheist and you don't support feminism, then you're sexist, like Steve Shives or any of those idiots like to say. You don't like Black Lives Matter. Well, I hate black people so much, and I have, I'm friends with a black person. I'm the biggest
He
racist.
just paid me like $20 or something.
Yeah, I found. I lured him in with all the Kool-Aid I have on top of my fridge.
Exactly. God damn it. No, but I mean, I do think another caveat is that anytime you have a movement that is trying to improve conditions in society or whatever, or bring awareness to an issue, you will see people with the most extreme views having the most attention spotlighted on them. I mean, you see this with a lot of different movements throughout history where people who are moderate or the moderates in the group would basically be pushed aside by the extremists. You see this with a lot of the stuff during the civil rights movement, and then also you see this during let me think when else, like the feminist movement as a whole. You see them going from wanting to fight for equal rights for women, and now they are basically being hijacked by extremists. But I don't know.
I think the biggest problem with that is they've run out of things to fight for. Obviously, we talked about for the video, like they're still fighting for abortion rights and stuff like that, and that's something we both agree with, and that's a fine thing to do. But then they go and like, oh, you can't manspread, or being a white male is the worst thing in the world, or you have the patriarchy, and they just say things. They don't prove it. They just say it's true because feminism, and then they go on with it. And
you shouldn't have to apologize for who you are, exactly. I've seen white dudes apologize like I'm sorry for being white. I'm sorry for my privilege. It's not like you just straight up just walked up to me, called me a nigga, and said some racist ass shit without no context, nothing like that. It's just like they're just apologizing for being them, and it's just just really bugs me.
And even if like I would do that, it's not like I would do it without any consequences. I could have all the white privilege in the world. If I walk up to Chris and say stuff like that, it's probably going to punch me in the nose, rightly so. And that's what happened to just about anyone. You go up and you say ignorant stuff, right? You're probably going to have some sort of consequences, whether it's directly someone punching you in the nose because you say that, or if like people hear about it and they're like, wow, I don't like that guy at all. That dude's a racist or whatever. That's not like some like, oh, because I'm white I can say that stuff and get away with it. No, nobody can get away with that stuff.
But I think the biggest problem in the feminist movement and when it comes to atheism is that a lot of times they will shut down discourse. Exactly. Or it's like they don't want to have objectivity when it comes to like issues. It's like you have to look at stuff, you have to analyze, you have to have debates about it. You can't just be like, oh, I'm right because I'm right by default. No, you have to prove your point to why you are right. You can't just be automatically like, oh, if you don't agree with me, then use an ad hominem attack. And I just don't. I disagree with it. And I think the atheist movement. I mean, I don't think everyone is like that in the movement, and like a secular movement or whatever. But you do see in a lot of these different groups, you see all this stuff where if you're not for certain things, then they will exclude you. They will ostracize you. I mean, I've seen this.
Protest you. You'd be like a Milo Yiannopoulos. They're not going to listen to you have a conversation. You could say I'm an anti-feminist, and then you're a bad person. It's like saying I'm an anti-feminist, and then in the same light saying I support Hitler. Like they just don't listen to you when you say, I'm against this, and whatever reason you have a Milo Yiannopoulos that says...
there's no agreeing to disagree. It's like,
exactly.
like for instance, with the wage gap thing, a lot of it has to do with the occupations that women go into. And, the reason that women get paid less is because, it's like a librarian is not going to be paid as much as an engineer.
Yeah.
So the problem isn't,
you can't even have that discussion.
Sexism. It's just... how can you make it so more women are interested in fields that provide opportunity for them to be paid more or whatever? And that's the discussion that should be happening. But you don't get nowhere when you try to solve you have an answer for a problem that you don't even start off with the right
Yeah, and it's
problem.
A complex issue, and they say it's black and white. They go, oh, women are paid less, and it's just, well, no, they earn less, and they do all these things that cause this, and you can't even discuss that because it's
unless you're sexist.
Yeah, and if we're sitting here talking about it, we're mansplaining, and we can't do it because we're man, and we hate women somehow, even though he has a girlfriend, and I'm heterosexual as far as I know. Last I checked.
Is that a bee?
It's a fly.
It's a fly, dude. I hate those, bro.
Yeah, it's
bro, I'm just laughing
like you're probably chopping the fly.
But I mean, in closing though, I think that the atheist movement has a lot to offer to society, or the secular movement, whatever you want to call it, has a lot to offer to society. But when you let extremists hijack your movement, and then they pretty much get rid of allowing people to debate, have discourse, whatever, then that's how your movement is going to fail, and it's going to destroy itself from the inside. And I don't want to see that happen, because there are issues that actually are important out there that affect mainly atheists. I'm about to slap the shit out of that fly, but
it's all right.
So yeah, anything else you want to say, bro?
I think the biggest thing the feminists don't want is an open discussion that is based on evidence and the scientific method, and it's simply logic. And when you have a movement that isn't based on those things, it's going to be shunned by a lot of people. And that's why you have a lot of anti-feminist and anti-socialist warriors for very valid reasons, because they don't use evidence or logic or anything when they're debating or saying what they believe. They just say, this is it. And as an atheist, someone that is rejected the idea of a god or a deity, and that flies, I'm going to kill it in a second. But when you have people that don't use evidence-based thinking, a lot of atheists are going to just reject that out of hand. And feminists could have...
Bro, I almost fucking had it, bro.
And a feminist... Well, we're going to make the best video ever. And a feminist could have the greatest point ever, but if you're just saying this is true, it's just like a religious person saying that, like, God is there. As an atheist, I just can't accept that. I just can't accept your baseless assertion, and that's what feminism is based around in the third wave. And if you want to talk about feminism in the Middle East and places like that, that's where I'll get behind, and most rational people are going to get behind. But here, when it's mansplaining, and the patriarchy, and
apologizing for just being
a white male,
it's
or
crazy, bro.
the wage
like,
gap myth, and like all of these things. When that's the basis of your movement, you have a crappy movement, and that's what feminism.
And then
has
also
become.
like the stuff about, like, America has a systemic rape culture.
Yeah,
man, you go to any park and say that you are a rapist, they will fucking stomp your teeth.
They kill you in jail.
Like, bro, like dude, like I know a lot of gang members because I'm from the city. And believe me, rapists are the lowest of the low. Like, they're like, honestly, if you tell someone you're a rapist in prison, there are gangs out there that will say it's just open season on you. It's
like them and pedophiles are like the two big groups that
they have to
nobody
segregate them in prison. And then it's like, oh, even amongst criminals in our society, they're spies. So how does America have a rape culture? I don't know.
It's bizarre, and all the numbers are like 1 in 4 women. I'm like, that's like what Ethiopia has, 1 in 4 people. If it was like some crazy statistic like that was true, and this is what feminists like preach all the time, are these random stats that just are true.
And I actually knew a feminist who said that, I actually showed her a fact-checked article. I swear to God, she said that, well, fact check isn't always right. Fact check is sexist. I mean, I shit you not, bro. Like, I'm not friends with her no more. Yeah. But she said that, yeah, fact check is sexist. And I knew the same feminist and another feminist I used to be friends with. They actually got pissed off at me when I said that there was an invention where nail polish, if you can basically put it on, and if you put it in your drink, you can detect if there's a rape drug in it. And there's like, why do we even have to live in a society where that's the case? And I'm like, it was just such a shock that someone who can be like, making sure women are not raped or whatever can then just say some dumb shit like that.
Why do I have to wear a seatbelt in the
like,
car?
Why do you have to lock your door? And the thing is, there's no kind of like discourse about how, like to prevent rape. And it's like, if some place is, it tends to be a place where women get raped or whatever, then if I was you, I would not go to it. I would not walk around East Cleveland with a gold chain and money hanging out my pocket because I know there's a likelihood I'm going to get robbed. But if you say that, then you are like a rape apologist, and I'm like,
and that's the thing is the discussions about preventing rape and sexual assault and stuff like that, which are issues anywhere, wherever it happens, is not taken care of by feminists. They just don't address the issue how it has to be done. If you tell a woman like, hey, don't get blitz drunk and go out in the middle of the night and in East Cleveland and pass out, probably not a good idea. You're a rape apologist. Why does she need to do that? But I'm like, it's just common sense. I shouldn't, get blitz drunk and go walk around Akron and then pass out on the street. Bad things are probably going to happen.
And I saw a feminist survey on this one website where they basically surveyed like, what do you think would be a good idea? I know that fly is so freaking. I want to slap it out the air. But there was a survey saying that, what do you think can be done to prevent rape or whatever? And one of the things that I feel would be one of the biggest things which is a self-defense class, was actually out of like the 20 choices, was like dead last. 20 out of 20, it was the last response, and a lot of it, the number one response was teaching men not to rape. And it's like thing is.
Who doesn't know not to rape?
Bro, and there was actually a feminist conference at my university where, from what I heard, a pretty well-known YouTuber who covers issues like this, she did research of rapists and what makes them tick, and she asked them, like, about consent, and the rapist said, yeah, I know, I fully understand what yes and no means, I just do it anyways. And it's like, she was ostracized for having like solid research about these rapists. Is like, they're fucked up individuals. And most men are not. Men don't just wake up one day and say, oh, I'm gonna rape women. No, they're fucking nuts.
Well, they take advantage of opportunities. That's a big thing. They talked with, they interviewed people that were convicted of rape, and they say, like, what do you look for when you're raping someone? And they say, women in clothing that I can get in and out quickly, women with their hair tied back, or essentially people they can take advantage of easier. And if they put up a struggle or do anything, then they don't. It's about opportunity, and that's what people don't realize is you give them the opportunity, they're going to take advantage of it. It's not if they're a low cut shirt or whatever. It's if they can get in and out and do whatever, because like I said, they're crazy people. Rapists are horrible people. But
yeah, so that's all I really gotta say. Thanks for watching. This is Jim.
Yeah, we're gonna kill this fly as soon as this video goes off.
Yeah, so and that's all I gotta say. Peace.